All right, folks. Before we get started here, I just want to talk about the next 2 weeks or so and our plans. So we're gonna do 6-3 today, 6-4 next time. You guys are gonna do this chapter 6 review stuff. We're not gonna take a chapter 6 test because I am like firmly against let's take a test and then have a final like the next day, kind of, like here's your mini exam week before your real exam week, like just done. So we're not gonna do a chapter 6 test. Any objections? No. Good. So the exam format though will include chapter 6 since we've done everything other than take a test on it. So I'm piecing the exam together right now. I'm in like the rough draft stage, but right now what I have done is I have 4 sections. So I have a matching section, a true and false section, a multiple choice section, and like a counting problem section. So all of the questions are recycles from the previous tests. So all of the exam questions are questions from the previous tests. So there's going to be 12 matching questions, 12 true and false questions, 12 multiple choice questions, 2 from each chapter. I'll print out a copy of the chapter 6 test and give it to you so you guys have that to work from in your preparations. And then I think I chose 3 accounting problems. Again, like identical in format to the things you've seen on those chapter tests 1 through 6. Obviously, it won't cover the accounting problems from all 6 of them because those are the most time-consuming parts of the test. And I guess I could do all accounting problems and no matching or multiple choice if I wanted to, but I don't really want to do that. So that's kind of what we're looking at as far as exam format goes. So what's going to be the best way to prepare? Yeah, the old tests. Yeah. So that's what that would be my plan. If you have thrown yours away, I would find a friend that still has theirs and ask them if you can make a copy or take some pictures or whatever so you have something to study from. But that's the plan, guys. So we'll finish up chapter 6 this week. You can work on the reviews, for the review work from chapter 6 into next week, and then start working on your, exam prep, going through your old tests, making corrections, getting things sorted out there. But the exam format will be, recycled test questions. I didn't get creative. Basically, the old test questions just recycled and reorganized. Does that feel like that narrows it down enough for preparation? Should be pretty doable. You did this all once already, so hopefully the second time around it's like, oh, this isn't so bad. Cool. And I'll get that written down and put it on my Notre Dame or something, or maybe I'll put the exam assignment and put the details that we just talked about on the assignment or something, just so you guys have that. But that's the plan. Cool? Okay. Sound super fair?
Yeah.
Reasonably low stress?
Yeah.
Okay. Like, it's something, but it's not bad. All right. All right, so in chapter 6, we've been talking about making these, like these worksheets, right? That basically is a summary of what's going on in our ledger, so we can see how much, asset we have or how much liability we have in totality. And in the process of building out one of these reports, like errors happen. Either, something got misreported or somebody forgot to include some expense. There was a receipt that got lost and nobody's found it, so you have to reconcile what's going on your report. That's, those are considered errors. And when you fix the error, it's called an adjustment. And we've been talking about making these adjustments to fix errors on our worksheet in the previous lesson. We're going to continue kind of that process and talk about different kinds of errors and how to kind of track those. Sound good? So, a financial statement that reports the value of the business's assets, liabilities, and owner's equity on a specific date is called a balance sheet. So this is a type of worksheet or type of report that you might generate as an accountant. It basically is a snapshot of the business at that moment. So an example of a possible balance sheet would look like this. Notice on the left you have the account titles. Each one of those would correspond to an account in a ledger. You would have ruled and totaled each of those accounts in your ledger and then transferred the debit and credit balances then onto this account balance worksheet. So if you notice here, we have three types of entries on this. So you have debits without adjustments. You have debits with adjustments. And then you have credits without adjustments. Everybody's okay with that? Now, the one that we're going to be concerned with today are these debits that include an adjustment. So another type of financial statement showing the revenue and expenses for a fiscal period is called an income statement. So an example of that is here. Notice when we rule this, the debit and credit balances are the same, as well as the adjustment debit and credits are the same. So we have the total number of sales, that's our sales balance. We have our expense balances without adjustments. So these are all the expenses and their balance from our ledger that did not include an adjustment. If you notice, there are two that do have adjustments, so those are expense balances with adjustments. Everybody okay? Again, three types of entries. Okay. Recording net income and totaling and ruling a worksheet. So the difference between total revenue and total expenses, when that revenue is greater than the difference between total revenue and total expenses, when that total revenue is the greater of the two values, it's called a net income. So again, when you're making more money than you're spending, The difference between what you brought in and what you paid out is your net income. So to record that net income, we can take our balance sheet and our income summary and use that to create a net income. So we start by totaling. So if you added the numbers down those columns, we get that totals. Everybody's okay there? Oh, I'm sorry, you draw the line first, right? And then you total up the numbers. That's what the single rule is. Then we calculate a net income. Where did that number come from, that 3162? All added up. No, it's not all added up. Where's that 3162? How did we get that? I'm not sure. I think it's the 5820 minus the 2658. Right? Isn't it just the difference of those two numbers? Looks like it. We extend that net income into the balance sheet column. We do another single rule, so that's just drawing the line. And then we total the 2225 and the 3162 and get that 5387, which matches. And because everything matched, we double ruled, and that completes the process. All right, we'll do this again here in the practice problems. If the difference between the total revenue and total expenses is negative, that the total expenses are greater, we call that a net loss, which you spent more than you brought in, right? Now, sometimes that's on purpose. When might that be on purpose for a business?
Big investment.
Yeah, so if you're making a big investment, like you have to build a new factory or something, like you're going to show some losses for a little while, absolutely. Could be strategic, that we're going to try to, run our competitors out of business by taking losses and selling things for cheaper to gain more market share before we, by reducing competition, we can raise prices later and not have to deal and have a bigger market share.
Avoid taxes.
Sure, for tax purposes, you might want to show a net loss so you can pay less tax. Yep. All those are reasonable. So notice before when we did this on our worksheet, we had a net income. Here we have labeled net loss. So again, we start the same way. We single rule. We total things up. We label our net loss. Notice that the difference between the net income and the net loss was where the net loss, or where the number is placed in the income statement, right? The net loss was under the credit column. And if we backed up, the net income is on the debit column. We extend that net loss over into the balance sheet. Oops. And then doesn't tell us to double rule. I suspect should be a double rule label at the bottom where we write in our double rules. All right. So when you're producing one of these worksheets, errors can occur. So examples might be errors are made in the accounting records, like we lost a receipt that we forgot to account for, or there could be errors in calculations, like you wrote down the wrong number, you added the wrong number, you misread a number, all those human error. Or the amount may be entered in the wrong column. Say we had a bill, and we charged it to the wrong account, like we had a receipt, and we recorded under the wrong accounts. So we charged the wrong account this money when it should have been somewhere else. Everybody okay? All right. In the balance sheet, which column is the net income recorded on the worksheet? I'm sorry, in which balance sheet column is the net income recorded on the worksheet? So let's go look back here. Net income. Well, but it's also recorded here because it wants the balance sheet, right, is what it asked for in the question. So in the balance sheet credit column. We also, for the income statement, we recorded it in the debit column. So careful reading the question. So because again, it asked about the balance sheet column, so you have to be careful there. In which balance sheet column is net loss recorded on the worksheet? Yeah. Good. And what is the first step in checking for arithmetic errors when the two column totals are not in balance? I don't know that we talked about that. So it says to subtract the smaller total from the larger one to find the difference and see if it's just, like does that difference match up to some number that just put in the wrong place? Where it's like, oh, found you, you are in the wrong spot.
There's more here.
What is one way to check for an error caused by transposed numbers? Do you know what transposed means? Like instead of writing down the number 12, we wrote down the number 21. So transpose just means you switch the places. The difference between two columns can be divided evenly by 9. You say so, man. So if like, think about 9 or 21 and 12, right? Those are two transposed numbers. If you take the difference of them, we get 9. If I did 23 and 32, you take the difference of them, you get 9. Would not have thought about that, but that seems to be a definite method for finding transposed numbers. or if that's the error anyway.
That's always 9.
Seems, or a multiple of 9. Yeah, because it says divided evenly. You know, if it was like 2100 and 1200, the difference between those would be 900. So it's not 9 exactly, but it's a multiple of 9, right? We got another one. What term is used to describe an error that occurs when numbers are moved to the right or left in an amount column? Sometimes I wonder. I guess it's a slide. I'm using the pre-made book slides, and sometimes I just wonder, what happened here, textbook? Is this just not in here, huh? All right, let's fire up our Cengage here and take a look at some of this stuff. All right. I'm just stalling for a minute in case any of you guys are still logging in, trying to get caught up to where we're at. So it says, note that once you've completed your entries, click grade this step to receive a grade for your work and to activate and advance to the next step. So notice that there is a second step to this problem, right? You see the tab with a 1 and a 2. So it's like a two-parter question. The instruction says on April 30th of the current year, Fix It Now has completed the trial balance columns and adjustment columns of the worksheet. Extend the up-to-date balances to the balance sheet or income columns. Total each column. Note if there's no value to be entered in a specific field or if that item is not relevant, leave the field blank to ensure correct grading. All right. Hi, Sean. How are you?
Here, let me give you this. Get away.
All right. So let's start with the income statement columns. So what should go there? Bless you. So we're going to fill in the income statement column first. Okay. So what numbers should we transfer over into that column?
The trial balance over.
So the entire trial balance column is going to go into the income?
No, but where the adjustments are, you subtract them.
So I don't know that things like cash and supplies go into the income statement.
Is it just like expenses going to the income statement?
Yeah, let's go back and look real quick. So if we look at what we have here, we have sales and then expenses, right? Are the things that go into our income statement. Everybody feel good? So let's go back. So sales, there's that guy. And expenses.
Missing all the columns.
What's up? I'm missing what column?
No, I was gonna say, I think 125, let's say going beyond that. It's an adjustment.
Right. I'm just reading just trying to find where the other adjustment was. But yes, thank you. Because that is a debit. I think, anyway. Spent a lot on utilities. Let's check our answer. Okay, so we did that column correctly. Okay, so far so good? All right, now let's transfer over our balance sheet columns. So the things that weren't in our income summary are going to be into the balance sheet. So cash, petty cash, accounts receivable, supplies, but note that we need the difference between these two guys, right? So, because there's an adjustment there, so what's that going to be? 47 plus 28 is 75, right? Think. And then 375 minus 125 should be 250. And then we have 267. And then 7443. And then 1700. Let's check that column. So that all looks good. And the last thing we need to do now. Oh my God. This stupid thing. Okay, is our totals? Who's got their calculator out that wants to add us down here?
The first one's 14.
1433, you said? 83. Thank you. And then the next one, 2160. Okay. And then this one should be 8387. And this guy should be 7710. Okay. So that's good. We're good there. And then we need to click grade this step to move to the next one. Where do I do that? Oh, there we go. Okay, and then calculate net income or net loss. So let's look here. I wish this stupid thing would get out of my way. Do this. All right. So if I look at my income statement, that's these two columns. It's how much money came in, is how many expenses we had. We have a net income or a net loss.
Net income, right?
Yes, agreed. That. Typing's hard, guys. So net income. So it goes here, right? Because it's a credit in that column. Correct? Okay. And that number should be the difference between the money that came in and the expenses that come out. Somebody with their calculator want to punch that for us? 2160 minus 1483.
677.
677. Okay. And then we bring that through to what other spot? Where else do we take that to?
Credit on the balance sheet.
Is it the credit on the balance sheet or a debit on the balance sheet? Debit. Okay. Let's check that, make sure we did that. Oh, no.
I think it's debit and credit.
Oh, is we just have them in the wrong spots? Is so dumb. 677.
Yeah.
That did it. Kulik. Okay. There we go. Okay. Okay, and then what do we do? We just add down now? Is that what you're telling me? Okay. And I should get the exact same values, right? Yup. Which I think was everything we needed to do there.
So the part where you determine that it's net income, how do you do that again?
So I just looked at, this is the column of money coming in.
The income credit, statement credits.
Yup. And the other column is the money going out, right? Because the 2160 is the money came in from sales.
You made more.
And the other is the expenses that we paid out. So if I have more coming in than I do having going out, we have net income. If it was the reverse, it'd be net loss. But it's
What did you put in that last bottom right column?
8387. Like these two should match and those two should match, right? So they should be the exact same number. I didn't actually do the arithmetic in my head. I'm just like, well, I know this should match. I'm just gonna fingers crossed that it did. And there we go. You guys feel okay doing this?
Yeah.
All right. Remainder you guys should work on is the on your own and application from 6.3, or if you have old stuff that you need to get done, you could be working on that also. I will say that Friday of next week is the last day for later missing work, our last class period. is our last day for late or missing or incomplete work. So if you have a big backlog of stuff, like, make that a priority and get some stuff done, okay? Or if you're looking good, it's like, don't slack off now, you know, like, use your class time wisely and get your stuff done. All right. I'm going to get out of your way and let you guys go then.